Valentine's Day is a holiday that has been monetized,
Sure.
just like Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving, etc. Right? There is a capitalism in the United States that wants people to spend as much money as possible to keep the system going. So I want to just state that as context for this conversation, because I think sometimes we can buy into that model. Hey, if I spend $500 on my girlfriend or $500, on my partner or significant other, I love them and
Sure.
my relationship is doing good. And you and I know that may or may not be the case.
For you and I, we have described this, and I thank God for it. I just believe I just truly believe it's the grace of God, because we had the opportunity to meet when we were so young and to grow up together really at this point. But as we have grown and as we have matured together, there are so many things that have been aligned around our expectations. And so that's why we can say something like, oh, well, we don't hurt ourselves on Valentine's Day, meaning, hey, we'll go to dinner, we might exchange some flowers, a card, something like that. We always acknowledge it, but it's not like the one day where it's all money in because we have to show up for this day, because we have lived an all money in life. And so because we have had that, close the back door, we are in this relationship, we are going to show each other love and spend time together and have great dinners and, do things just throughout the year. Welcome to With Love, The Chambers,
where life, laughter, and lasting lessons meet.
We're The Chambers, a husband and wife navigating faith, family, and everything in between.
Here we share real stories, heartfelt conversations, and a whole lot of love, because life isn't perfect, but God's grace sure is.
So pull up a seat, grab a cup of coffee, or go ahead and sip that tea, and join us for honest talks, laughs, and the wisdom we're learning along the way. This is With Love, The Chambers.
This episode of With Love, The Chambers was brought to you by the Vision Engineering Collective, where purpose meets strategy and vision comes to life. If you've been enjoying the stories, the laughs, and those deep life lessons, we invite you to support the show and help us keep the love flowing. Head over to www.coff.ee/withlovethechambers. Think of it like buying us a cup of coffee or two. As always, thank you for hanging with us. Now back to the show.
Welcome to another With Love Wednesday. I am Jamila Chambers, and I am here with the Vision Engineer himself, Dr. Rufus Chambers, and we are so excited to be with you. Gosh, we have had the opportunity to come together in this forum week after week, engage with our listeners and viewers, entertain your questions. Thank you so much for every comment, every DM, every like, every share. You all have subscribed on all the various platforms that you've engaged with this content on, and we just can't thank you enough for engaging with us and having this conversation with us every single week. And if you know somebody that doesn't know about the podcast, this is a good time to share it with them. Before we get into today's conversation, it is Black History Month. It is, we just had the opportunity, and we were talking about it a little bit off camera, of having the privilege of seeing our daughter sing at Carnegie Hall. A week ago, as of the recording of this particular episode. And it really, really does my heart so good to have had that experience of watching not only our daughter, who is this young Black artist, but all of these kids from all over the nation, literally all 50 states, perform, whether it be part of the orchestra, the big band, or the choir, and come together and make this beautiful music in such a historic venue, with 2 of the 3 conductors being Black men around the age of 40.
That was a moment.
In their tuxedos.
That's right.
It was a moment. Share a little bit about what that moment was like for you.
It was definitely, I feel like that moment was a moment in time for our history of our
Yes.
family. You know what I mean? I feel like I remember the first time I ever remember hearing about Carnegie Hall was watching Lady Sings the Blues when Diana Ross portrayed Billie Holiday,
Mhm.
and that's one of my favorite movies
Of all
of
times.
all time. So
Yes.
being there, it was a moment to acknowledge the history of that theater. It's a beautiful facility,
Yes.
impeccably maintained and kept, and to understand all of the artists that have performed there. And of course, Willow was in a choir. She wasn't a soloist per se, but it still was a moment to see
Mhm.
her, with her colleagues, sharing their gift, with the audience. So no, it was a wonderful moment in time. And in doing a little research, Billie Holiday was obviously not the first African American to perform,
Mhm.
but there was, I believe it was in 1892 was the first African American to perform there, and that was only like a year into it being opened. So
Sure.
I can imagine how groundbreaking that was. And one thing I love about the arts, and one thing I love about sports is those genres try to bring us together,
Yes.
um, however they can,
Mhm.
especially in the history of these United States, even when it's been contentious as time. Those arenas have been very groundbreaking in bringing some unity, at least in the arts, and in entertainment as well. So no, it was a wonderful time. Of course, it was freezing.
Was freezing.
Yeah, freezing, literally freezing. But hey, I don't think I will ever forget, that experience sharing it with the family.
Yes, 100%. And to have those students perform there, it was part of what was called the High School Honors Series,
Mhm.
and they are all musicians from across the nation,
Yeah, yeah.
from, freshmen in high school all the way up through
Mhm.
seniors, and so for them to be in that place and they were professional.
Yes,
So
yes,
not
very much
only
so.
for those of you that have gone to high school orchestra performances where you gotta put your hands in your
No,
ears
no, no,
and
no.
and grit
No.
your teeth a little bit
Yeah,
and get through it,
no.
I felt like I might have been watching the New York
Absolutely,
Philharmonic or the Los Angeles Philharmonic. I mean,
excellent.
these musicians were, top quality and
Yes,
top caliber,
we felt
and
all of the parents,
yes.
the lessons that they have
Shout out to the
invested in. I
parents.
was like, "Whoa,
We were
these
looking
kids have had some
around
lessons."
and said, "These kids have put in
Yeah.
their 10,000 hours, okay? Their
Oh,
parents have
definitely.
drugged them to
Absolutely.
rehearsals and private
Absolutely.
lessons and because every
Winds,
bit."
horns, everything.
Yes, every bit. The percussionists,
Yeah,
were on
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Every bit
One
of
sound.
listen, one band, one sound.
Yeah, it was nobody
Shout
carrying
out
on.
shout out to Drumline. One
No,
band, one
it
sound.
was nobody
Yes.
carrying on.
No,
Everybody's in the
no,
pocket.
no, the choir, the
Mhm.
orchestra,
Yeah.
the big band,
No, realistic.
it was just an outstanding and
Mhm.
phenomenal, phenomenal experience. We are still in the month of love,
Yes.
and we, just passed Valentine's Day a
Mhm.
few days ago.
Yeah.
And today's conversation, and we got our
Mhm.
red still on, so we might
Yeah,
as well
got
still
some
get
red.
into
Don't
it.
have much red, but I think this is all I got. This Clipper sweatshirt. That's
We got
about
to
it.
step, we got to step
Yeah.
your game up.
All right.
Uh, no, I'm good.
This is
This is good.
LA, so I like to stay neutral. Praise the Lord.
In 2026, we still like, no, we not wearing all red, all blue, and apparently there's some other colors now.
Oh, with
I
the
won't get it.
hats.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
won't get into it, but
I
apparently
take
there's
that money
other
tried.
nuances
Yeah.
that are not quite
The
Gen X
sports.
coded. So
Sports paper.
so
Yeah, you gotta be
yeah, there's some
careful.
other nuances that
Yeah.
apparently we have to watch out for now.
Yes.
But we're still in this month of love. Valentine's Day has just passed recently, and we wanted to get into the conversation today about what we don't learn from Valentine's
Mm.
Day, or
Mhm.
what the machinery or
Yeah.
apparatus
Yeah.
or the pageantry and
Yeah.
the just collective way we
Yeah.
respond to Valentine's Day. What doesn't translate
Mm-hmm.
to our everyday walking around expression of love. You've had the Galentine. The Galentines
Mm-hmm.
have Galentines.
Yes.
The flowers have been given. The homemade cards from the kids at
Yeah.
school. All those things are very heartwarming, etc. But there's a walking around, very real,
Mm-hmm.
day to day, expression of love and commitment and
Yeah.
devotion that can't quite be encapsulated
Yeah.
into a holiday, so to
That's
speak.
right.
And so, starting off that conversation, I want to get into your thoughts about the expectation versus the reality.
Mm.
We have some things that are maybe hyped up
Mm.
around certain ideas
Yeah.
of love. Um, but what does it look like on the day to day from
Mm.
a reality standpoint, day in, day out standpoint?
Wow, that's a good
Why are you
question.
chuckling so much?
Well, yeah, praise the Lord.
Why the pause? Why are you
So,
chuckling? Yeah.
so I think let's just state a couple obvious things. Let's
Okay.
state number one that Valentine's Day is a holiday that has been monetized,
Sure.
just like Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving, et cetera, right? There is a capitalism in the United States that wants people to spend as much money as possible to keep the system going.
Mhm.
So I want to just state that as context for this conversation because I think sometimes we can buy into that model.
Mhm.
Hey, if I spend $500 on my girlfriend or $500, on my partner or significant other, I love them and my
Sure.
relationship is doing good. And you and I know that may or may not be the case.
Mhm.
So I think, when we talk about the reality and we talk about this holiday or this month or however you want to frame
Sure.
it, you know, we can't get caught up in allowing February 14th to define the legacy or the reality of a relationship. You would be silly to do that. No different than what we talk about is, you can plan a wedding, but
Mhm.
fail to plan a marriage.
Sure.
And we've seen people do that. It's
Mhm.
almost like wedding planning can suck you into this vortex, and then that's your singular focus for that period of time leading up to the wedding. And then you
Sure.
say, I do, and say, now what? You know what I mean? So, but I mean, I think the flip side is it is an opportunity, to express your love, to those that you love in a romantic capacity or otherwise, and that can be a good thing. And it was funny, you and I, we obviously went out to dinner
Mhm.
on Saturday night.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. And, you're in a restaurant and it's packed and you see, some couples that are having fun. Some couples look like, this may be the Hail Mary, if you will,
We low key were people
yeah,
watching,
yeah, of
like
course.
they look
Because
like this last string.
yeah,
They look like
yeah,
they dating.
yeah. So you kind of see all of these scenarios,
Yes.
play itself out and it's fun, but I
Mhm.
think the flip side is, and we try and encourage, couples to not wait, for that day to express yourself or for your person to get it, whatever
Mhm.
it is. You know
Sure.
what I mean? If you
Sure.
love them, they should be able to feel it or know it,
Mhm.
throughout the year. And I feel like, there's just something to be said in things that are superficial that can camouflage uh, a missing element in a
Mhm.
relationship. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, if we spend $10,000 on a trip for Valentine's Day. Is that going to camouflage the reality
Mm-hmm.
that our hearts are turned in other directions?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or that we're not committed, to the relationship, or, whatever, you know what I mean? Trust has been broken, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, I feel like, and I don't even know if I answered your question, you know what I mean? Because I got on this whole context thing, talk about the monetization, but, and I guess for you, like, I got, not so many memories, but, when you think about, go back over the years, Valentine's Day,
Mm-hmm.
what did it used to mean when you were younger? What does it mean now? What has been your progression in what that day means and what you expect? You know what I'm saying? Because we don't necessarily hurt ourselves on Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I remember there being a season, and I have to preface this, and this is such a good question because I think it comes down to what my thoughts were about the relationship in general and how secure I felt and how much trust
That's
I
good.
felt just
That's
in
a
the
good point.
relationship in general.
Security. That's good.
Yes.
That's
So
good.
when I was in my dating,
Message.
right,
Go ahead.
when I was in my dating
Yeah.
season, and I wasn't in my forever relationship,
Mhm.
days like Valentine's Day were super important because I was looking for that to be
It's
the
good. That's a
confirmation
message. You dropping. You dropping gems.
of
Hope the brothers is listening.
right, because I wasn't getting the clues, the anchors, the mooring from the relationship itself. And I was hoping, well, if he just showed me some love on this day, that's the indicator
Mhm.
that I'm his person or
Yeah,
that
yeah,
he's
yeah.
taking this relationship seriously or that sort of thing. So when I was in like that season of my life, not only Valentine's Day, but my birthday or
Mhm.
just certain things
Yeah.
became so much
That's
more
good.
important in that context because that was not my lifestyle. I was hoping that those events would bring out those characteristics I was looking for in the relationship on a day-to-day basis. For you and I, we have described this, and I thank God for it. I just believe is really. I just truly believe it's the grace of God because we had the opportunity to meet when we were so young
Mhm.
and to grow up together really at this point. But as we have grown and as we have matured together, there are so many things that have been aligned around our expectations. And so that's why we can say something like, oh, well, we don't hurt ourselves on Valentine's Day, meaning, hey, we'll go to dinner, we might
Yeah.
exchange some flowers, a card, something like that. We
Mhm.
always acknowledge it, but it's not like the one day
Yeah.
where it's all money in
Yeah.
because we have to show up for this day because we have lived an all money in life.
Mm.
And so because we have had that, you know, close the back door, we are in this relationship. We are going to show each other love and spend time together and have great dinners and, do things just throughout the year. And that has evolved, everybody. Like, don't get it twisted. Our version of doing those things when we were undergraduates was different than our
That's
version of
true.
doing those things
That's
when we
true.
were married with no kids.
Mhm.
Different from those things when we had small children. So we have had to adjust that version
That's true.
over the years. So I don't want to sit here in front like, oh, well, every year we just balling out and
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
this and doing
Yeah.
that. That has evolved as our financial means, as our time, as all of our resources,
Yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
time, our treasure, as all of
Mhm.
those things have evolved, the relationship has evolved with what that expression has
Yeah.
looked like.
Yeah.
And sometimes they were grand expressions,
Mhm.
maybe monetarily or otherwise, and sometimes they were more heartfelt,
Yeah.
expressions. And so um, all of those things uh, are things that have evolved over time. But the emphasis and the this day has got to be,
Yeah.
summed up
Yeah.
in one nice, neat little bow. That had a lot to do with, me not feeling like, I was secure
Yeah.
or, grounded, in
Mhm.
the relationship. I just mentioned finances a
Mhm.
few minutes ago. And one of the things that, from a commercialized,
Mhm.
capitalistic perspective, that Valentine's Day
Yeah.
represents is you got to go turn your pockets inside out like the
Yeah.
Monopoly man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you better come up off that change, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the expectation with whatever version that looks
Yeah.
like. But you know what? You said it earlier, and I want you to unpack it a little bit. You can do all that, and that can just be a mask or a cover up
Yes.
for what is missing, lacking, or broken within the relationship.
Mhm.
You can do all that, and that might not even be that person's love language or
Yeah.
how they get that. They might
Yeah.
think it's great and they might appreciate it, but that might
Mhm.
not really, really be their thing.
Yeah.
Um, and you can do all that and mess around and can't pay rent,
That's
you know.
true.
Valentine's Day on the 14th, come March 1st.
Mortgage late on the 15th.
You
Yeah. Yeah.
mortgage late the next day.
Mortgage will be late after the
At
15th.
Come on, somebody.
For
So
the
you can
mortgage
do all of
lenders. Yeah.
that and then miss the
Mhm.
greater aspect of it,
Yeah.
which being that it is an opportunity for you to express. So talk
Yeah.
about, especially for the brothers, that pressure
Mm.
to break yourself on holidays like Valentine's Day.
Yeah, no, it's real. I mean, it's and again, it goes without saying the cost of living has just went up so much, So, it just costs money to do everything. So I think,
Yes.
yeah, man. Well, number one, let's just state the obvious, right? I feel like it's usually the responsibility or the assumed responsibility of the male to do something. You know what I mean?
That's facts.
I've never been in a environment where the lady's like, oh, I'm planning this and I'm going, is for whatever reason that chivalry and that element is still living. So no, there's a financial pressure, to say, okay, and you know me, what's the budget? Is there a budget? Is that necessary? Yes or no? And I mean, what I want to encourage men as far as, regardless of the budget, I always feel like there's an opportunity to be thoughtful,
Yes.
in that however you're going to express yourself, to your mate, I believe she'll be able to sense some level of thoughtfulness or lack thereof. And I think sometimes if you don't have, a couple grand laying around for Valentine's Day, you can offset that with something that's thoughtful. It's funny as an example, on social media, we see this trend where now with AI, you can have a custom song made,
Yes.
for your person. And, the ladies in the car, oh, check out this song. And then he puts it on and, oh my God, it's about me and it's got my name and, stuff like that, where it's like, it's, it's thoughtful. It may not be, 5 carats, VVS, G color, etc., but it can be thoughtful.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I think that as men, especially in this day, we do need to use wisdom on how we steward our finances. And I think, secondly, I think as men, we should not try and build relationships on capital.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But there's a culture that is really pushing that, on some of the secular stuff. Me, I follow some secular platforms and genres, and it's some of the things I see is just so weird. I'm like, wow, is this real life? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Oh, you gotta start paying my bills, and if you love me, and give me $10,000, and just weird
Sure.
stuff. Even for proms, remember we heard about some mothers saying, you know, they want my son to spend all this money for prom, and the mom ain't never been to a 5-star restaurant. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just
Sure.
it's again, and I think again, this is the byproduct, and I don't want to get deep, but when we live our lives in a culture without any restraints, we just take it too far.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that's kind of what's happening with some of these, financial things. I mean, you hear, our kids, their expectations of travel and um materialistic things, it is very aggressive, shall we say, based on their ages. You know what I mean? So I feel like in the relationship, men, if we're going to lead, we need to really try and build not solely on, if I'm balling, we got a good relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, even if that is your person's love language, you may have a woman whose love language is, they didn't categorize it as gifts, but what was it? Was
I
it
don't
gifts? But anyway, even if that is their love language, find a way that is not financially exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know any men who don't get tired.
Mm-hmm.
You tap dance, you perform, you tap dance, you perform, and eventually you like, my knees are shot. I can't tap dance. You know what I mean? And then what happens to the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
in that? And then financially, even, I don't know any relationships who have not went through ups and downs where you
Mm-hmm.
could be in overflow and then you could be in shortage. And if you're in a season of shortage, yeah, it's going to be pressure on the relationship, but it shouldn't cripple the
Mm-hmm.
relationship. If the relationship has been built on the right stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Love, respect, communication, intimacy, etc. So it's very tricky,
Mm-hmm.
kind of what's happening. And when I say that, it's tricky in a sense of what culture and society is selling people
Mm-hmm.
a successful relationship looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And again, it's reality TV. Again, we're living in the aftermath of that. And
Sure.
how many people have framed their POV on relationships based on what they saw on the TV in a reality TV show?
Mm-hmm.
The weaves, the cars, the houses, and broken relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's you know we got some work to do, I think, to get back to what matters most. Um, and it's not materialism, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we got to provide, we got to have a place to live, we got to have some food to eat,
Sure.
all of that. But, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe that it's
Mm-hmm.
just all about the money, you know. And even on, and I think it goes both ways, because if you put either your value as a man based on how much you can give a woman, and vice versa. If the woman is placing her value on how much she can convince a man to
Sure.
give her, it's like both people's value system is off
Mm-hmm.
utterly. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So it's really something. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? When you really pull back the covers, it's like, wow, this is but that's why we got this platform.
Right.
Let's plug with love the chambers. That's why we're trying to
Let's plug the
speak
platform,
some
shall we?
sobriety
Yes.
into these internet streets,
Yes.
because it has went off. Tell me about your first memory of a Valentine's Day. Like what? I'm thinking about elementary school, and you remember the little. You used to go to the grocery
Yeah,
store, all
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
What are some of your old school
Yeah,
memories of
that
Valentine's Day?
yeah, that's exactly it. And it was one of the best days in school as an
Ooh,
elementary school student because you get to eat candy in
that's right.
class all
Yeah,
day. So
yeah,
that was
yeah,
just
yeah,
that was like the highlight of the year.
yeah,
And I was in elementary school in the 80s,
yeah,
so
yeah.
they really weren't letting you eat candy in the classroom.
Mhm.
There was no student store that sold
Mm-mm.
Snicker bars or
No,
anything like that. I mean,
not at all.
so being able to do that in the classroom, and then I remember, certainly in high school, probably junior high and high school, when they used to sell, those Valentine's grams. Usually it was
Yes.
the student clubs or the student government as a
Yeah.
fundraiser would allow you for $1 or whatever it
Yeah.
was to write
Yeah.
your friend a note,
Yeah.
and you would write them a note, and it would get
Mhm.
delivered to their homeroom with
Mhm.
a piece of candy
Yeah, yeah,
attached from
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And it was how many Valentine's grams did you get,
Mhm.
from your friends. And so definitely had all of those good memories and and
Mhm.
and and that sort of thing starting off. But as you were speaking earlier, I started to reflect upon whether it was my elementary school memories, and certainly as a kid, or even evolving into being an adult and married now for 24 years. Um, Oftentimes, we don't express how we feel about the people that we love
That's true.
until you get to moments
That's
like
true.
this
That's
and
true.
holidays like this. So even in junior high school, I wasn't writing my friend a note saying like, "You're an awesome friend and
Yeah, yeah,
you make
that's
me
true.
laugh
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you make homeroom bearable
Mhm.
because Miss so and so or Mr. So and so is
Yeah,
getting on our nerves, and you just made class fun." And like we didn't express those things to the people that we love
that's
and we
right.
care about on an ongoing basis. And even now, so many of us are guilty of not giving people their flowers
That's true.
until you get into moments of crisis, or even worse, until they're no longer able physically,
Yeah.
in the earth realm to
Yeah.
hear you
Yeah. That's true.
say how much you love and appreciate
Yeah.
and value their friendship, their
Mhm.
partnership, who they are as a spouse, who they have been in your life. So, what don't we get? Why do
Mhm.
we miss it?
Mhm.
Why don't we take the opportunity in the moment to express our love and our appreciation and how much we value people
Mhm.
outside of moments where, again, that capitalism kicks in and we go to the greeting
Yeah.
card aisle in the grocery store, and we allow someone else's words and
Yeah.
someone else's sentiments to get as close as possible to how we feel. Why do we wait until this moment to just say what we mean?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't I really don't know. I feel like, and again, I'm just spitballing here, but I feel like, in our relationships, in our familiar relationships and,
Yes.
romantic relationships, we do generally get to a place of complacency and contentment. And I think once that kind of sets in,
Yes.
we do rely on those holidays or, things that are on the calendar versus kind of more of a daily, weekly, monthly appreciation
Mhm.
until you hit crisis, right?
Right.
And then, all bets are off. But, and I think maybe that's one of the lessons learned for this conversation is try and get into a rhythm and a habit. Again, I'm preaching to myself to not wait for those moments.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Even if it's a little thing or something, or, picked up your favorite juice at
Yes.
I was walking by,
Sure.
and I think again, it's even some of the, I feel like, and it's funny because, I think for the last year of me not being, employed by, a company, my mind has gotten some of its bandwidth back.
Mhm.
And it feels good to just have a little bit more time for things, shall we say.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, no, I think that's a lesson learned to all of us. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Because again, what's the point of waiting to that one moment to try and okay, I got to hit a grand slam because I
Sure.
haven't been getting on base all year.
Sure.
You know what I mean? One thing I want to ask you about before we, get out of here is the cruise that we went on with the One Reflection Marriage
Oh my
Ministry.
goodness, yes.
And for those of you who don't know, well, of course you don't know. But anyway, One Reflection Marriage Ministry is the name of the marriage ministry at our home church in the San Francisco Bay Area. Shout out to New
Yes.
Destiny. The marriage ministry is named One Reflection.
Yes.
And the leaders at that time, Oscar and Carol Jones, phenomenal leaders of that ministry. I mean, they had that thing thriving.
Yes.
And they planned a cruise, and you were so insistent that we go. And we had already moved here to LA.
Yes.
So we weren't even in the Bay Area or anything. And of course, you're like, oh, we're going on a cruise. I was like, I don't want to go on I don't want to go on a cruise. I don't want to go on a cruise. Why were you so persistent of going on that cruise? And it was around Valentine's Day.
Yes. I want to say it was.
And how was that experience for you, in us going? But what was that about?
I think at the time
Mm-hmm.
we were in that stage where we still had these smaller children
Mm-hmm.
that are just all consuming. And for anyone that's in that active
Yeah.
throes of
Yeah.
parenting, there is a season of parenting where you swear this will never end. Now that we're like
Yeah.
on the end of
Got
it,
some
we're like,
daylight. Yeah.
oh, that was fast.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking back over your shoulder,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that went by so quick. But when you're in it and you have kids and they really do, they take up every moment, all your energy. You're working full time, commuting, like literally trying to do all the things on a day-to-day basis. It had been a very long time at that time since you and I were able to just come up for air.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was just a moment and represented a moment like, no, we need to do something for us. We
Okay.
need to do something for us. And it was also a time for us to reconnect from a faith perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't just us taking the opportunity to be away, but taking the opportunity to be away with like-minded
Yeah, that's
individuals,
true.
people of faith,
Yeah.
couples of all different
Ages.
walks,
Yeah.
ages, and
Yeah, that's
stages.
true.
And one thing I will say to anybody, just from a nugget perspective, is that none of us got where we got, and certainly Rufus and I have not gotten where we have gotten by ourselves.
That's right.
We had some modeling
Yes.
that we were able to examine. And there's so many couples, I won't name them, but you would be surprised the things that you learn
Mm-hmm.
about how to manage conflict, about how to navigate. I know part of the reason that we even knew to plan on making a transition to become an empty nester is because somebody told us, one day this is going to be over.
Mm-hmm.
And you are going to have to learn how to like, I remember these conversations. I won't name any names, but I remember these specific,
That's right.
conversations. Like, and the two of you are going to have to figure out how to reconnect, because it will be a 20+ year gap between this parenting I was talking about and this empty nest phase. Had we not had those conversations, and our bishops will say this all the time, the hardest part about being on a motorcycle with someone else is you crash when you don't lean together with each other in the turn. Lean in with each other in the turn. Again, those analogies have always just stuck with me. And so it wasn't just feeding us in terms of the opportunity to be away, but the opportunity to be away with like-minded individuals, to be able to sit at the feet, so to speak, of couples that have walked this path before, that allowed us to just learn, to ask questions, to get back to having a bit of fun.
Yeah.
With just the two of us, you lose some of that
That's right.
sometimes in those parenting years, especially. You lose some of that. So much so that our oldest daughter, she gets low-key offended. Winter, like low-key gets offended at our new life we live in now. That's what she calls it. Because our kids are now 21 and 17. And so their whole life has been their experience of us. Their whole life is them being centered.
Yes.
And so our youngest daughter says, I forget that y'all are main characters. That's the way our theater kid expresses it. Like, oh, I thought you all were supporting cast.
Yeah.
I forget that in your life, you are main characters, right? So that's how she frames it. And our oldest daughter, Winter, said, when did dad start playing party games at Christmas parties?
Yeah.
Some game.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Neelys. Some game we were playing at a holiday party we were invited to, and you had to blow a cotton ball. Oh no, stack the cups. You had to stack the cups, not blow the cotton ball. That was another game.
Yeah.
You had to stack the cups really, really quickly, and whoever made a stack of their little solo cups the fastest without the tower knocking over one. And of course, the engineer won. But someone videotaped it, and we were all laughing, and Rufus was playing this game, and Winter said, Dad, you play party games?
Yeah.
You like she just could not
like the gate open.
Yeah, she could not conceive that there would be fun outside of fun that was centered around her experience. And I love that for both of them. Like, I love that we gave them that. So I don't take anything away. I'm not upset that they have that purview, but I do think it's hilarious. Like, yes, we had a whole life.
That's right.
And guess what? We are going to continue to have a whole life in addition to having you as now young adults. Our youngest will be 18 in about 60 days or so.
Crazy.
I probably shouldn't have said that. 18.
Yeah.
Whole years.
Yeah.
Voting age. The baby.
Yeah.
It's not right. But I love that we gave that to them.
Yeah.
But when you talked about the insistence on having that moment, I think that's the encouragement that I would give someone that's listening or viewing, to have that insistence that you get those moments together, no matter what stage of relationship you, the throes of marriage you find yourself in, and to be around mentors, like-minded individuals, folks you can glean from. And sometimes what we learn from being around other people is what not to do. We like, that was an interesting dinner. We know not to air our dirty laundry out in public. We've been at some dinners where the conversation kind of turned into personal things being shared from these couples that we feel like, that might have been a little bit too much for, public consumption.
That's true.
But we learn those things too. Learn those things too. And for those that might be single for whatever reason, because we have people that are widows, widowers, divorcees, single by choice, single not by choice. But sometimes this time of the year can also represent isolation. To those and to individuals that find themselves, in those spaces too. So I also wanted to be encouraging when we say, what do we miss outside of the holiday? And sometimes that holiday can represent, I don't have romantic love. And sometimes we can miss, again, that opportunity to communicate, whether it be to our good girlfriends,
that's good.
Our loved ones, our mentors, our teachers, whomever. It can just represent a good opportunity to communicate outside of that romantic context.
Yes.
Because sometimes, again, we miss that part of it.
That's right.
Too.
That's right.
And we have so much to learn even as married couples. There's a elder at the church we attend now that is now a widow but was married for a number of
Mm.
years. We talk to her all the time
Yeah.
about marriage and about
Yes.
what she
Yes.
learned and
Yes.
those lessons. And again, sometimes people don't think, talk to the widow,
Yeah.
talk to the widower,
Yeah.
because again,
Yeah.
they have all these years in the game and are modeling
Yes.
how to love beyond
Yes.
natural time.
That's good.
And there's so much to learn from that perspective too.
Yes.
There's so much to learn.
Yes.
So I definitely wanted to take a pause and
Yeah. Brilliant.
acknowledge that part of it too. So why don't you close us out for today?
Well,
Final thoughts?
no, I think you just gave
Did I
an
just close?
amazing final thought.
Yes.
I don't have anything to add. Just want to again thank our audience for listening and viewing today.
Yes.
We hope this conversation has been comforting, has been edifying, and just brought some type of value to your life, and of course some hope to your life. We ask that you just please help us get the word out, hit the share button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button,
Yes.
so that we can stay connected. We realize that these platforms are very busy, they're very noisy, and we just want to stay connected
Yes.
with you. We don't take it for granted or take it lightly that you're tuning in on this platform. So with that, I'm going to sign off from With Love, the Chambers. We'll see you again next time. God bless.
This episode of With Love, the Chambers was brought to you by the Vision Engineering Collective, where purpose meets strategy and vision comes to life. If you've been enjoying the stories, the laughs, and those deep life lessons, we invite you to support the show and help us keep the love flowing. Head over to www.coff.ee/withlovethechambers. Think of it like buying us a cup of coffee or two. As always, thank you for hanging with us. We'll see you next time. With Love, the Chambers.
That's a wrap for today's episode of With Love, the Chambers.
We hope you laughed, learned, and felt encouraged along the way.
If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs a little love and wisdom today.
You can also connect with us online on all social media platforms at Rufus Chambers Online and at Jamila Chambers. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time,
Keep living, keep laughing, and keep learning with Love, the Chambers.